name is Gage Johnson, and this is the Sports Spiel with the Owensboro Times, and I'm here with Owensboro Thoroughbreds head coach Mark Anderson. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, Gage. Thanks for having me in today.
Of course. And the Thoroughbreds, they've just recently wrapped up their training camp, and you guys have had a busy off season. First and foremost, I kind of want to touch on just you guys have been able to raise $75,000 for nonprofits. What's the off season been like? I mean, you guys have been all over the place with that, and then
Right.
with basketball itself.
Sure. Chris Allison, our TMO, team market owner, does a tremendous job with that, giving back to the community here. And, just to put that out there that, hey, we're here. We're going to stay here for a long time. That just kind of solidifies it that we're invested in the community.
Yeah.
We want to be here.
Mhm.
We have guys that are even, yesterday I'm still getting text and messages, hey, coach, you got a roster spot.
Yeah.
Because they know this is a good place to be. One,
Yeah.
because of Chris. Two, because of the community. And three, because of where we play,
Of course.
in the sports center. It's one of the better venues in the TBL.
Oh yeah. And with that, you've also had some trips. You made it out to Vegas for a little bit to play.
Correct.
What was that experience kind of like?
That's getting better every year. So this is my fourth year in the TBL. My
Mhm.
first year I was in Jamestown, New York,
Okay.
Jackals, and then the last three here with Owensboro.
Yeah.
And then going out there to Vegas, it's gone from very small group of people and coaches to we had a couple hundred guys there over the period of the week
Mhm.
in the summer league, and it was outstanding to see, and it was free to anybody that played in the TBL. They just had to get their flights out there and get a huge discount on hotels out there.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous opportunity, and it's good networking not only for us
Mhm.
because there's a lot of new teams coming in and coaches get to know them, and also to see the players.
Yeah.
We had several of our guys that played for us out there, and it was good. And I got to meet some guys. We had 3 or 4 guys from the Waco Royals.
Okay.
We still stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
I mean, good guys. So
Mhm.
it's kind of a cool experience.
Yeah. Helps build those connections, and because I know you guys kind of understand that you don't want this to be the last place for them. You want to help them get to their kind of
Exactly.
next level. One of those guys being, I think he's returning possibly too. I saw he had a training invite, Javion Eves.
Yes,
And
sir. He's here.
So I went to Murray.
Okay.
And so I've covered him, and he went to John A. Logan before that, which I'm from Marion, Illinois.
Yep.
So I have kind of seen Javion as he's gone along
Right.
his career. So it was really cool to see him have that little time in the G League, and to now just kind of come back and bring it back to where he kind of started.
Yes. So he had just gotten back from the Republic of Georgia
Mhm.
about 3 weeks ago. Things were going okay over there, but they weren't the best
Yeah.
situation for him. So he came back, and of course we took him in right away.
Yeah.
We wanted him back. You think about this. Here's a kid that played at Murray State along with John Moran, and then he comes into the TBL and averages 20 points a game coming off the bench.
Mhm.
So, and never really complained about that at first. But then once he bought into that role, he took off.
Yeah.
And, he was a problem. He was a headache for the
Mhm.
rest of the league. Now this year, obviously, I don't think we'll be able to bring him off the bench. But the thing is that he's progressed. He's gotten stronger. So that's going to help.
Yeah, and that was the thing with him at Murray too, is he bought into this role because at first when he first got there as a junior, he was just off the bench. He was your 3-and-D guy, and then he kind of grew as the season went on, and then blew up his senior year before coming down here.
Right.
But with kind of finalizing your roster, do you have some more familiar faces?
Sure. We have Darius Nunn, who's back, who's
Mhm.
one of the top point guards in the league.
Okay.
He had a tryout with the Globetrotters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was, that's a cool experience
Yeah.
too. Didn't work out, but he got the chance to go out there and try to see what it was like.
Yeah.
So he'll be back. And then from our first year, Devon Hayes
Okay.
is back, who averaged somewhere around 24, 25 points a game that year.
Okay.
With this group this year, he won't be called upon in all likelihood to have to take that kind of load
Mhm.
on. We've got some other guys that can fill in around him.
Yeah.
So, but we have 3 guys that are back that know the system, so that helps.
Yeah. And then as a roster as a whole, you had how many people come up to training camp?
We had 16.
Okay.
We
Okay.
kept 10.
Yep.
And then 2 practice players,
Mhm.
2 that were in the training camp with us that are local guys that
Okay.
helped out. So
Yeah.
that'll be good. And again, a guy that's familiar with the system, Marshall Griffith, who's been
Okay.
practicing with us over the last year for sure a lot.
Yeah.
And he did a nice job. It's just a numbers thing,
Yeah.
When you're going to keep 10 guys, it's kind of tough. And this was by far the toughest cuts we had to make because everybody last year we had 2-a-days on Friday, Saturday, and then had a Sunday one, which we really didn't need. This year we had Friday, Saturday, 2 days, and I needed the Sunday one because it really did come down to that final day for a couple guys to see where they were.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah. Do you find yourself kind of more and more each year finding more people wanting to come down here and play?
Oh, absolutely. Again, I go back to the 3 things, Let's start with the Owensboro community.
Yeah.
You're in the hotbed here, basketball, Kentucky. I grew up in Indiana, so, I'm very familiar with it. And then you've got the Sports Center, which, again, the venue. And then our TMO, Chris Allison, who's one of the best owners in the league. So he takes care of us down here.
Yeah.
Our guys have availability to a lot of things that at the minor league level teams just don't have.
Yeah.
This isn't semi-pro. This is minor leagues.
Yeah.
This is full professional.
Okay.
So a lot of times people, what's the difference? Well, in the minor league, so for example, like in the G League, everybody plays the same amount of games.
Yes.
Everybody has a set schedule. All right. In the TBL, everybody plays the same amount of games.
Yep.
Everybody has a set schedule. We practice 5-6 days a week. First Baptist down there next to the bridge, that's our home practice facility. And Brad Winter down there has opened the facility up to our players.
Awesome.
They take care of our practice gear after practice. They wash it. The men are available to go in and shoot at any point in the day as long as there's not something scheduled.
Yeah.
They automatically get a membership to the weight room. So we have these amenities here that a lot of places you may have to pay for to be part of. So, and that's just one of the things that we want to take care of our guys and make sure that they have. And now we're partnering with KWC with their training room.
Okay.
To have, we've got a trainer with Teresa Jenkins who's been with us for 3 years, does a wonderful job keeping our guys healthy. And now partnering up with KWC to go in and have their facilities. Some of the guys went over there this morning to, aches and pains, things like that, take care of it. And she keeps us healthy, so that's great.
Yeah. And with getting all these amenities, you make sure to kind of give right back. I saw after the training camp, you guys went straight over and you were doing some stuff with youth basketball. So
Right.
what is it like to kind of see that commitment right away from those guys and kind of set the groundwork for your program for them to understand that this is basketball, but it's also more than that?
Well, it's one of the things that when we're talking to the guys that are combines in the Midwest, it's one of the things that we make up front. One of the first things we tell them, you got to be willing to get into the community.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then we're not going to have you around.
Yeah.
Because that's just not fair to the people here. It's not fair to the other team members that go out and do things. So we've never really had any pushback on that. The guys look forward to it, especially with our free clinics that we give to the community on Monday nights that we had last week. We had 4 or 5 of those. They got better attended as it went on. And the guys go in there and coach the kids and things like that. We'll be doing some things with Upwards at First Baptist.
Okay.
So to help out there. So it's a way of giving back. And the people enjoy seeing our guys. Our guys enjoy seeing the people, meeting them after the games. We're always available to sign things. And there's always a line, win or lose, outside our locker room. So it's really a neat experience.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that a lot of the guys get to experience that here.
Yeah. And you guys have some charity nights, I think, planned ahead too.
12 of them.
Sure, you can't release a whole bunch about that, but what kind of led into those things and kind of building up this money for these nonprofits?
Well, it goes back to what Chris wants to do down here. Given the 12 different charity nights, we wear a different uniform on those nights.
Okay.
And then those uniforms will be auctioned off after the game. So
awesome.
It's a cool experience.
Yeah.
And not many teams at any level get to wear. I think we counted up 15, 16 different uniforms throughout the year. So yeah, it's unbelievable, really, Gage.
Yeah. Um, and then like we kind of touched a little bit, you got the roster down to 10. Who are some other faces? So maybe some new ones, some guys that might kind of stand out to people,
Sure.
or any around the area that
Yeah.
might people recognize.
So we have Albert Jackson, who played at Georgia, 6'10".
Okay.
A huge pickup. He's a veteran. He's
Mhm.
played 10 years overseas,
Oh, okay.
and that's one of those things when you bring in a guy like that, really helps out the rookies. So
Mhm.
that's a huge pickup.
Really sets the tone for the other
It does.
guys.
It does. When you see your 6'10" guy diving on the floor to get a basketball, how can you not follow suit?
Exactly.
So he's one. Let's see. We got Marty Hill from
Mhm.
Evansville. Played at Evansville.
Yes.
He has been a surprise. He
Okay.
might be the sleeper in the draft.
Okay.
So we moved up to get him at number 7. We were originally at 28.
Yeah.
There was no way.
And what was that like? So how did you go? Because for me, I didn't even know there was a draft until I saw it on Twitter.
Okay.
Because I'm new. I got here last May, so I'm
Correct.
still kind of seeing how everything's going. So
Yeah.
how did you move up in the draft, and was that you knew that's who you were going to get?
Yes, we had earmarked over the 2 days up there. So it's Saturday and Sunday in Indianapolis each year.
Mhm.
And then we had probably 120 players on Saturday and about the same amount on Sunday.
Okay.
And they go through 4 or 5 hours of playing, a couple skills at the beginning.
Okay.
But we had earmarked 9 guys that we were really intrigued with.
Yeah.
And then I had been in contact with Marty actually a couple weeks prior because I had seen that he had gotten a. So what happens when you go to a TBL national combine?
Mhm.
If you're one of the 3 or 4 selected, you get a contract to go to a training camp.
Okay.
Now that doesn't ensue that you're going to make
Yeah,
it.
it's just an invite.
You got it. Yeah, so it solidifies that you're going to be somewhere for training.
Yeah.
And then reading that, this was in Minnesota where he's from,
Mhm.
and I saw that he had played at Evansville, so did a little
Yeah.
research and thought, all right, so this is one of the things that TBL is about, is getting guys that have name recognition in your area.
Yeah.
So contacted him. He had been invited to another TBL's team's training camp, but
Mhm.
we had stayed in touch, and he said he was going to the combine in Indy.
Mhm.
So I reached out to the owner, who I know of the other team. I said, "Hey, here's the situation. Tell me what you think." I never want to undercut another
Yeah.
coach. I just don't think that's the right thing to do. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to let him know that he said, "Well, if he's going to the combine, then if you want to draft him, then
So be it.
yeah, so be it." He goes, "He doesn't. I don't have a problem with that." I said, "All right, then we'll just see." And then when I saw him in person, I thought,
Yeah.
okay, we got to
Knew
get
right
him.
away.
Yeah. So I talked with Chris, and it was Flint who had number 7.
Okay.
We were at 28, so we offered them some cash,
Mhm.
undisclosed amount, and moved up in the draft to get him.
Okay.
Because after I know he was on the radar of a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is the 9 guys that we had earmarked, all 9 were drafted.
Yeah.
So that kind of made us feel good. That, all right, we're seeing the same thing that other people are.
Yeah.
Whether or not they all made the rosters, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But it was a good experience. So
Yeah.
it'd be something maybe that if you have the time to do next year, is to come up and see
Yeah,
that. But
that'd be awesome.
it's also streamed.
Okay.
So there's the other thing. So we streamed the TBL Summer League.
Okay.
This was streamed, and 100 and some countries around the world were watching it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting. And the other thing about the TBL, we play now as not to overlap with the college season just
Mhm.
a little bit, high school season just a little bit,
Yeah.
and that helps free up the venues that we play
Yep.
in. And then also we're kind
Puts
of
more
still
eyes on you too.
Yep, more eyes, and then we're also in line with the NBA when it comes to the June
Mhm.
playoff system and
Yeah.
everything. So we're all kind of right there.
Awesome. Well, what kind of stood out to you when you went to the combine and you saw Marty?
Visibility off the drive
Mhm.
and the finish, and then when we got him down here, he's knocking down jump shots. See, that in the combine up there, it's only 7-minute games, so
Okay.
you're kind of limited on what
Yeah.
you see.
You
Even
got to
though
make an impression pretty quick.
exactly, so that was the thing, is that now when we got him down here for 8 to 10 hours of eyes on him, we
Yeah.
could see what he could really do.
Mhm.
and outstanding, very coachable. Actually, all these guys, the one thing that stood out to me is they look you in the eye when you're talking to them,
Hmm.
and they take it's very sincere in what they say.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. A lot of people always ask me, is it difficult to coach at this level? And my answer is no, because they know if they're a knucklehead, nobody's going to take them in.
Yeah.
No one overseas wants a knucklehead.
Hmm.
So, we have the upstanding guys, and that's the other thing I think why they get out into the community, and that looks good on their resume too.
Yeah.
Hey, here's clips of me in the community. So when
Hmm.
they go overseas, those things play into it.
Yeah. And I was about to mention that what it's kind of like coaching that, because it's not every day that you in professional sports that you have to deal with roster turnover like that almost every year. Granted, you are bringing some guys back,
Right.
but what's it like trying to get a group of mostly experienced players to gel together and find a way to succeed?
There's got to be a lot of buy-in.
Mhm.
There's got to be some guys have to take on a lesser role.
Yeah.
Which could be tough, especially if you were the man at your program.
Yep.
Um, that buy-in has to take place. But the other thing that, especially the rookies, don't realize, 48 minutes is a long game,
Hmm.
and there might be where you get 10 minutes in the first half, but then all of a sudden you play 18 in the second half because you get hot.
Yep.
That was the case with Javion a lot of times
Hmm.
last year. He'd get hot in the second half, and then you can't take him out. Evan
Yeah.
Milligan, same thing. He would get on a roll.
Hmm.
It's like, I can't take him out. And they know that. They know if they get on a roll and they're hot, I'm going to leave
Stick
them
with
in.
them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And how did you kind of get into coaching here in the TBL? I know you've mentioned this is your fourth year overall, but what's kind of been your journey like? What's it been like over the past 4 years for you?
Well, you want me to go prior to the 4 years?
Just like a little
little
bit.
bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I started coaching in 1987.
Okay.
So, I started at the junior high level, worked up through college, head coach in college for 10 of the 12 years I was coaching.
Okay.
And then what had happened, I wanted to try a different challenge.
Hmm.
My kids were older. My wife's a coach. She understands that.
Yeah.
Um, Once the kids got out of high school, I said, I gotta answer this question. Can I do this at
Yeah.
this level?
You always want to push yourself as far as you
Right.
can, because you get too comfortable, then it's not you don't see the fun in it as much.
Right. And the thing is, I had won a national championship coaching in college, so
Mhm.
I thought, well, let's see what we can do at this level.
Yeah.
So, over the last 6, 7, 8 years, I've had the opportunity to have 25 guys go overseas,
Okay.
give them the opportunity. Well, now once they get there, that's up to them to see what they
Yeah.
can do. But the thing is, it's kind of cool to see these guys progress, and a lot of them from when I was coaching in Lyman, the PBL, are still playing overseas.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting in that fact, and just going from there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, what would have been kind of your favorite memories so far here with the Thoroughbreds? I mean, you guys have had a decent amount of success. You're getting a lot of players going overseas,
Yeah.
especially from last year's roster.
Yep, 6 guys last year.
Yeah. What is what has it just kind of been like to see the outpouring of support from the community, and just having that success and helping players get to the next level while also still getting some wins?
Yeah, I think it's huge that uh, 1027 The Game, does our Thoroughbred Thursdays.
Yep.
That always helps. We bring in the guys, you kind of get out the word there. I think the fact just seeing how we keep getting better each year, not only with the players but off the court items
Mhm.
too, just progressing. I think going in and competing against Kokomo, Cliff Levingston, who
Mhm.
played for the Bulls and on those
Okay.
championship teams, um, coaching against him and I got a good relationship.
Yeah.
We can pick up the phone, talk to each other. It's one of those things. There's more and more NBA guys coming in
Mhm.
as owners, that type of thing. So the league is taken off. I think, to narrow it down, I think each year has its own things. The first year we were cut short by COVID.
Mhm.
We were 6-7 at that point. We had just made some trades. We'd come back off of a 3-game road trip to Tampa, and things were turning around there. I kind of remember that as the launching of what we wanted to do, because we
Yeah.
knew we needed to get better,
Mhm.
and we have since then. And last year kind of just put it together. and hopefully this year we've got a really experienced a team
Mhm.
and guys who have played at the high level,
Yeah.
not only mid majors but in the ACC and the SEC. So
Yeah.
I think
Some
that's
Power
going to
5
be huge.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. So that's going to be huge.
Yeah. Well, you've got a few weeks for the season to start. What are you guys kind of doing to prepare? And then are there any games that you have circled on the schedule?
Well, we're practicing now every day. We gave them Monday off. That was also kind of a little bit of they needed that.
Yeah.
And then yesterday they moved into their houses, so that's all taken care of. So that's a good thing. We got them settled in.
Mhm.
So right now we're putting in our offense. We work on our defense. So the way we structure practice, we'll spend the first 40 minutes working on defense,
Mhm.
and then going from there. Um, I think, circle. You always look at the Kokomo is always going to be good. I think the Indiana All Americans are going to be pretty good. There's a lot of teams now in the Midwest Division. I think there's 13 of us.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily play all 13.
Yeah.
But our road trips aren't nearly going to be
as long.
Right. I think we open up in Toledo and then go to Detroit the next day.
Mhm.
But I don't think we're traveling to Flint or Lansing.
Yeah.
So, but Flint's coming down here, and that's like a 7.5, 8 hour trip.
Yeah. But you like how the schedule's kind of turned out as a whole?
Yeah, a lot of it's heavy ended on both ends. So
Mhm.
starting out, we play I think 9 or 10 of our road games
Yep.
with one home, and then back end I'd rather have the games at home anyways.
Yeah.
So that helps out. So we'll have to see. We got to be ready to go on the road.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, as he kind of touched on it, guys, they start out on the road here on March 5th, and then their first home game, if you want to circle your calendars, March 20th against the Indy All Americans. Mark, maybe just kind of for anyone interested or that hasn't seen the Thoroughbreds, what would you kind of say to kind of get them to come on out to the Sports Center?
It's fast-paced basketball. It's professional basketball, so you're going to see guys that have played at all levels. Um, you're going to see high scoring, but yet defense. You're going to see that it's organized. And then the things that Chris has in place, not only for halftime, pregame, after game with concerts, dance teams, drum lines, all these things are going to make the experience coming into the Owensboro Sports Center something that people will remember.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for coming in. I know it's been a busy off season, and now you're ready to get right to work.
I am. Thank you, Gage.
Yes. Well, this has been another episode of the Sports Spiel, and we'll see you next week.